What's up? The week is over. Yeah. You a little freaked out there, Kyle?
I'm panicking.
You panicking?
Not on players necessarily, but on my teams.
On all of your teams?
All of my fantasy teams.
Yeah, it's fantasy this year is so strange. So strange. Tony, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing, Corey? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Tony's less panicked than me.
Yeah. Tony must have had a decent week.
He must have had a good week. He's all even keel, level headed.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, he's seeming chill, and I'm over here like, what the hell? I just what's up, Charlie? How's it going? Charlie already in here. Welcome back, AJ Brown and Diggs.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to get a good game out of Diggs. I don't have any AJ Brown anywhere, but it was nice to get some Diggs points in there.
Yeah, and that I see where Julio got hurt, so maybe it's the.
Also, funny story. During the game, the commentators they cracked me up. When Stephon Diggs caught his touchdown, he tied his brother Trevon Diggs, a defensive back for the Cowboys, for touchdowns on the season.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's absolutely true, and it's hilarious.
That is hilarious. I love that so
not
much.
if you're a Stephon Diggs owner, but you know, it's hilarious if you're a Cowboys fan.
No doubt. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to go turn this on over here. All right, guys.
Got to get that streaming on the network, man.
No doubt. We got to get that fixed. Anyways.
They did fix it briefly, didn't they? And then they turned it back off because it was tweaking?
No. They tried. They couldn't get it to work. But anyways, that's beside the point.
Henry with another 3-touchdown night. That dude's a freak, man. Like, how is someone that big also that fast? Like, it's not even fair.
No, it's ridiculous.
That long touchdown was nuts. His big ass just running away from defensive backs. I was like, oh my God. I'm shocked every time I see him do it, and he just keeps doing it.
Shocked.
Yeah.
Let's see. Charlie says Diggs could have had two TDs if one wasn't underthrown. Yeah.
You're not wrong.
I'm actually going to switch Tony up to this corner here. Oh yeah, there we go. That way we can cover my ugly mug when I put a comment on screen there. We'll keep the eye candy up top there. That way.
I like it. Smart play.
Hey, I'm a businessman. What can I say?
Yes, sir.
Oh, let's do everyone a favor. There we go.
Yeah, there. Now we're right.
I'm kidding. Let's keep the brains at the top. There we go.
Can you hide Kyle behind the Panic Room emblem? Can you do that?
Yeah, just put me behind the logo, just behind the background.
All right. Hey, I think we're good to go now, Tony. What do you think? Just kidding.
That's
All
great.
right, guys. How about we talk some football? You want to talk some football?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, cool. All right. So let's go through some of these games. Was that English? Did I just speak English? I'm not really convinced. Let's just start with the London game. Sunday morning London game. Let me get to my list here. The Dolphins and Jacksonville Jaguars.
Bro. Myles Gaskin. Come on now.
We knew that was going to be a one-game thing.
Well,
did we not?
We had a feeling, but it was also one of those things. It was like I had a league. I had to start him in because I just had everybody was hurt or on bye. Like, I literally had no other options. And he got me like 2 points, 2.5 points. I was like, you couldn't get a little bit more. You just go nutty last week, and then you barely touch the ball. Like, he had 5 carries and 2 receptions. He had 6 targets, but only 2 receptions for 5 yards. Like, that's very unfortunate day for Gaskin. So I think I'm moving him off of my optimism list. He was on the panic list until last week, and then I was on to my cautious optimism list, and now he's back to my poopy list.
Did he ever come off of did he go onto your optimistic list there, Tony? Did he go on your optimism list at all?
No, I had a couple shares of Gaskin, and after week 4, right? What are we now? Week 6?
Yeah.
Week 6, yeah.
So after week 4, when he had that big flop, I cut him. I just didn't want to deal with the headache all year, and didn't want to be part of a committee in Miami. And then, of course, in week 5, he went off. He had 10 catches, and so it was a scramble to grab him back off of waivers. So I think the team that grabbed him bid like 30% of their fab to get a guy I dropped the week earlier. And then, of course,
he got him 2 points.
He totally flops again. So, I first I was regretting the fact that I cut him. Maybe I cut him loose 1 week too soon. And then I was grateful that I kind of went with my gut and what the numbers were saying, and somebody else can now deal with the headache all year.
Yeah.
Well, now that I'm past that bye week in that league, he's going right back to the waiver wire. I ain't messing with him.
There's a chance that they could give him a more defined role in that offense. I'm just not willing to kind of wait it out. There are too many other options on waivers that I'd rather have over Gaskin.
I already gave him 2 chances. He's not getting a third.
I'm not suggesting you do. I'm just saying that there's a chance that Miami could figure out a more defined role for him. I don't think Malcolm Brown is the answer. So I do think Gaskin could be a more dependable running back, at least for a flex. But he's too risky. His floor is so low and his ceiling is not very high. So he doesn't really have a whole lot to offer.
And Ahmed actually had the most carries, which is kind of wild.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think you have 3 games where you can play Gaskin for the rest of the season. Buffalo, Baltimore, and Carolina. Those are their toughest games, and the only productive game he's really had this year was against Tampa Bay. So I'm guessing if you go against the grain, only play him against the teams where you don't think he's going to perform
then
at
he's
all.
Gonna go off. Here's the problem with Gaskin, that any value he has is more in that passing game.
Yep.
And you saw Gesicki kind of get on track on Sunday. Waddle went off. He had 13 targets on Sunday. He had a fantastic game. And you've got Devonte Parker is coming back. He's working his way back off of an injury. Yep. And so there was a chance he actually went to London. I don't know if you guys saw that. He flew with the team. So there was a chance he was going to play. And then I guess the team made him inactive just prior to the kickoff. So Devonte Parker comes back at some point. You're going to expect Fuller, and I just don't think that Gaskin's going to have any real role in that offense. So
no, I agree.
Yeah, Parker got a free vacation in London, but or paid vacation. He got a paid vacation. It wasn't even a free vacation. But I'll tell you what, Tua coming back was music to Gesicki and Waddle's ears, wasn't it? I mean, Gesicki 8 receptions on 9 targets for 115 yards. Waddle went nutty, 10 of 13 targets for 70 and 2 touchdowns. Like, them getting Tua back was huge for the
Waddle's legit. Waddle is not going to disappear in that offense. So,
no, even when Parker comes back, they're different types of receivers. Like, there's no shot that Waddle's going to lose any of those targets.
Yeah, I agree. Who else in that game?
Let's see. Jumping over to the Jacksonville side, it was nice to see Marvin Jones kind of get back on track. Chenault, he had 10 targets, but he was only 6 for 54. So I mean,
not really shining there. But
Agnew was 5 of 6 targets. He actually did better than Chenault. But yeah, Marvin Jones getting back on track.
I think moving forward, we can trust Chenault more than a guy like Agnew. But Marvin Jones seems to be having a real solid role in that passing game in Jacksonville. He's going to be a sneaky guy. I think when Shark went down, there was a lot of talk about Laviska Shenault, kind of his value skyrocketing, and that they were going to begin to lean on him more in the passing game. But it looks like that really is shifting more towards Marvin Jones Jr. Shenault has not really, even with the opportunity, has not really produced this year the way that we expected. So I think he's a safe number 3 flex guy, but I don't know that he'll be more than that.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed. How about James Robinson? Jeez, that dude just keeps rolling.
Yeah, he just keeps going. I mean, it's another good matchup for him.
Right.
That means a lot too.
It's a good matchup. Here's the difference though, kind of comparing that to Miami. He isn't sharing carries with anyone.
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence had a couple of QB runs, and you know how they run those RPOs in Jacksonville.
Yep.
But James Robinson had all, every carry. It wasn't any other running back in that Jacksonville offense that had a carry. And
he even had 4 targets, 3 catches on 4 targets. He even had 3 catches on 4 targets.
Right, so that's where I was going.
He's a true workhorse, yeah.
And so he, Miami might have been a good matchup, but beside that, he is getting a solid, a number of touches each week, 20 touches again this week. So that's really what you're looking for at the running back position.
Yeah, totally. So Charlie over here said, so glad I got rid of CMC this week. Traded him and Corey Davis for Diggs and J-Rob. I mean, that paid off this week for sure.
Yeah, well, Diggs is definitely a nice value in J-Rob. Yeah, you did pretty good for CMC. Look, the fact that you can get any value out of CMC right now with him on IR is something to be said for that. So
yeah, especially if you weren't trading Hubbard in the deal. Like if you had Chuba Hubbard and you were trading him in the deal, but if you just traded him straight up, that's pretty good. We got a couple more questions over here in the chat. Just to kind of skip around really quick. You want to do that, or you want to keep going down the list of games?
No, let's do the chat.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do the chat first.
Yeah, perfect. Got one. Oh, he still has Hubbard. They let you keep Hubbard? Wow. Okay.
Good on you. You got to keep Hubbard. That's smart.
That's insanity.
That's gross, man. Don't
you realize you can now flip Hubbard for something else. That's crazy.
Yeah. Don't say that out loud, man. You're gonna have the police knocking on your door soon. Don't admit to crimes. All right.
FBI, open up.
Panicking on Jacoby Myers.
No, he gets a lot of targets, and I think he had 6 targets this week. Like, he gets pretty good targets. He's gonna have better games. They ran the ball a lot actually against Dallas, more than you'd think.
I like Jacoby. I think
I like
first
him
off,
a lot.
Yeah, Mac Jones looks fantastic. He was 10 of 10. First 10 passes, all completions. He was 4 of 4 for passes over 20 yards. So it looks like they're beginning to kind of trust him a little bit more on those deep passes. Jacoby Myers, he had a touchdown taken away from him on a lame holding call, which wasn't holding. So
you shut your mouth, Tony.
Was that?
You shut your mouth, Tony.
So Mac Jones looks great. Jacoby Myers is the focal point of that offense. He, like Kyle said, he had 6 targets yesterday. The next closest receiver, actually Stevenson, had 3, and Aguilar had 3 as well. So Myers in that slot position, and he had a tough. Who was he matched up against? Tay Diggs?
I would assume so.
A couple times, I think, maybe, but not every time. He wasn't shadowed.
I'm not panicked on Jacoby Myers. And here's another thing with Jacoby too. He's very efficient. So he had 6 targets. He had caught 5 of them for 44 yards. So
he'll have bigger games. Some touchdowns will come.
Well, the nice thing is New England, they have a really soft schedule for quarterbacks and receivers moving forward.
Yeah.
I definitely am not panicked on Jacoby Myers.
Well, like the commentators were even saying it last night. He plays that same role that Wes Welker played, that Julian Edelman played, that is very prolific in that Bill Belichick offense. Like, I'm not panicking on him not one bit.
I think New England realizes they're going to have to open up that offense a little bit more.
Yeah. And like you said, they're trusting Mac Jones more and more. And the more they do, the more they'll pass and the less they'll run. Because, Damian Harris is not like setting the world on fire, so they're going to want to lean on Mac Jones more and more if they can.
Completely agree.
Yep. I got one over on Instagram. Is Emmanuel Sanders a weekly flex play?
100%.
Yeah, I would say yes. I have him playing actually as my wide receiver 2 in a league right now, but
it also seems like they were almost force feeding Cole Beasley tonight. Like they're wanting to try to get him back and as a regular staple in that offense. So honestly, he's a good 3 wide receiver, 3 or 4 flex during these bye weeks. Also, probably at this point.
The nice thing with Emmanuel Sanders is that Allen definitely trusts him. I think he more than any other receiver on that offense, maybe with the exception of Dawson Knox, he is really the red zone threat. And you saw even tonight he had a couple opportunities there to get a touchdown, touchdown snatch, and I think Allen didn't see him on that one play, but
yeah,
Sanders absolutely the number of times Allen passed the ball again 47 times tonight. So you want a part of that offense, and Sanders is the guy after Diggs I think I would want to have.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I'm liking Sanders right now for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we got another one over here from Alp. Panic on DJ Moore.
Absolutely not.
No. Yeah.
DJ Moore?
Not even a little bit.
DJ Moore had 13 targets yesterday.
Yeah.
5 for 75. Look, he's not going to have 15 catches for 250 yards every week. Just because he doesn't get that, you're not going to panic. Joking, you're not going to panic on a DJ Moore. If you can get DJ Moore off of his prime, off of someone's hands, I would get DJ Moore.
Yeah, 100%. We had that question come in our live Sunday broadcast. People are like, "What's up with DJ Moore?" And it's like, he's getting a lot of targets. It's just not connecting. I mean, you can't expect him to just go off every week. I mean, name me a wide receiver that hasn't had a down week, and he's still got over 10 points in PPR. He had almost 11 points. So it's not like he just put up a 3-point flopper up there like some wide receivers have this year.
Well, so just 2 quick things. Number one, you want to see the opportunity. That's what you're looking for. And so 13 targets, if you get 13 targets a week, you're going to be ecstatic.
That's a lot.
So that's a large number of targets.
Some of those are Darnold issues too, and not more issues not catching it,
And in fact, the only larger target count I think I can recall this year is Najee Harris with his 19 or something. I can't recall another one that got over 13 targets. That's really high.
Well, yeah, whether there is or isn't, 13 is a very strong target share.
Yeah.
And so, you're looking, the guy has an opportunity every week to give you winning production. In other words, he can win you weeks with the type of numbers that he has the opportunity to post. The second thing is this: if you do fantasy long enough, you're going to see that in some cases, the players over the course of a year look almost like a stock market. You're going to have ups and downs, and you're looking for a mean average. That's why you want to try and buy them on a low and sell them on a high. But nobody sustains the type of numbers that DJ Moore was producing the first couple of weeks over the course of an entire season. So
with that being said, tune in Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Central Time and catch Tony and Kyle on Fantasy Wall Street. Buy, sell, or hold. What a plug there.
That's right. That's a big part of fantasy.
If you go back a couple of years ago when CMC played every game, even he had a couple down games. I mean, like you say, nobody's perfect the entire season. So
nope. I mean, look at Tony's fantasy teams. You can be as perfect as you can be and just have down weeks. Am I right, Tony?
Absolutely. Perfection is hard.
Somebody's got to do it, though. All right.
I try. I strive for that, but that's a tough. Perfection is a tough thing to accomplish.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see. Damon the Beast, welcome back, man. Is Gibson going to play this week? I'm guessing probably not.
I have no idea, but I'm leaning no.
It looks like it's going to be a no. Grab, I think, McKissick or Patterson off of waivers if you do have Gibson.
I think Patterson probably is smarter.
If you do, and hopefully you can kind of endure not having him for a couple of weeks. It looks like there's a chance he could miss a few weeks, and in that, I'd rather have the guy come out, and even if he goes on short-term IR for 3 weeks to get healthy, so you got a healthy Gibson, you can trust him every week, as opposed to kind of doing what happened yesterday, where you think he's going to play because he's active, and then he aggravates the shin and comes out. So let the guy get healthy, and then you got a guy you can really lean on.
Yeah,
Yep.
you don't want someone in there that's going to be re-aggravating or on a pitch count every week, and you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and they come in and they pull them in after the first quarter, and it just screws up your entire lineup. So
Exactly.
not ideal for sure. All right, let's see. Philly Mike is challenging us to a 6-man sleeper league draft right now.
We'll have to talk about that.
Sleeper the app or sleeper is he talking about something else?
I think sleeper app. Yeah, I think. Okay, let's see. Damon to be. Should I play Jarvis or Judy this week?
Judy's out. Judy isn't even playing this week.
I was gonna say I don't know if he's even planning on. I don't think he's gonna play this week. He's off IR now, isn't he? But
yeah, he was designated to return, but I
think they've already declared him out for the week.
I thought I heard earlier that he was 50-50.
Why are we picking between Jarvis and Judy?
I think he's going for a waiver wire pickup would be just a guess.
No, he said, should I play Jarvis or Judy? I wouldn't play either of those guys.
I was gonna say you got Baker with a dislocated shoulder. I wouldn't start. I mean, Judy's out. Obviously, don't start him. But Jarvis, I wouldn't start either with Baker hurt. So,
hey, here's the thing with Jarvis though. They'll toss him the ball and let him do a little halfback pass. He'll play a little quarterback himself. So
is it a deep league, Damon?
Don't listen. I mean, here's the thing with Jarvis.
He says or Chase Edmonds or McKissick. Yeah, either of those is better than those two.
Look, and here's the thing with Jarvis too is I'm not quite sure what's going to happen with Baker.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Baker dislocated his shoulders, so that's just
Baker might not even playing. If Baker isn't in, you're not going to play. There's no chance you play Jarvis even if he comes back. You don't want to play receivers coming off an injury. You got to give them a week or two to kind of get back into game shape, and many times they go on a pitch count, and so they're not even going to play a full complement of snaps.
Yeah, I mean, who played AJ Brown? Am I right? Like that would be stupid. That would.
They're asking questions for this week. I don't even know who Chase Edmonds or McKissick play this week.
Well, that's why you gotta get stuff up and going on your screen, man. Jeez.
Everything still says week 6 because it literally just ended. So I don't
That's true.
I don't have anything that tells me matchups for 7 yet.
Here we go. Let's set. Charlie says AB is looking like a sure wide receiver on the Bucs right now.
As a what? As a wide receiver one. Wide receiver one. He is.
Yeah. He's looking real good on there right now.
Woo. AB is the X factor in that offense.
Yeah.
Godwin looks more like a possession receiver. Mike Evans is the occasional deep threat. And the passing offense now just seems to be running through AB. He's all over the field.
I feel like Antonio Brown's playing the role that Godwin played before they got Antonio Brown.
Maybe, yeah. Could say that.
What does that look like when Gronk comes back?
I don't think AB disappears. I think Gronk is going to be more of a ding on a guy like Evans. He'll be more kind of boom or bust.
Yeah.
I don't think AB's a different type of guy. I mean, that's a different type of receiver.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic right now.
Yeah, I don't think AB is effective when Gronk comes back.
Haters gonna hate. This is the first time I've been feeling Dallas. Like, this is it, man. I really feel like this could be the year. Probably not this year, but next, possibly. Get out of here, man.
If you jinx it, I swear to God, I'll come through this computer.
I'm looking at that. I'm looking at that logo right there, and then I'm coming back to Philly Mike's logo, and those are the same. So this is going to be.
Wait. Same thing.
So we got us a Philly guy in here trolling us Dallas fans.
Dallas does look legit.
They do look good.
Their offensive line is ridiculous. One of the best offensive line, at least top 3 in the league. Running the ball really, really well between Zeke and Pollard. Zeke's running out of his mind right now. Dak is a stud. And pick your poison on the receiving core. You got Cooper, Lamb, Schultz is kind of having a real defined role. You gotta, and the defense is playing. It seemed to be playing better and better every week. Quinn has them playing out of their minds as well. So
doing really good. I saw a thing earlier. Someone said that something we learned this weekend was that CeeDee Lamb is the clear-cut wide receiver one on that team, and it's not even close. And I disagree that it's not even close. I mean, I think they're separated by like 13 fantasy points or something. So like it's not a huge amount of fantasy points that they're even separated by. So I thought that was a weird thing to say. What do you think, Tony?
I honestly think it's just going to depend on the week, and I think they're playing matchups. New England is pretty tough against the receiver position, and I think that's what they were doing on Sunday. So they shifted more of a focus to Lamb because they like the matchup with Lamb. Cooper's also been a little bit banged up, but look, make no mistake, Cooper's a stud.
Oh yeah,
and Cooper isn't going anywhere in that offense. So don't panic on Cooper. If you're panicked on him, he's going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I just don't saying that it wasn't even close is weird.
Yeah, they were even talking about that like during the game Sunday, and then they had quotes from Dak himself saying, I'm so comfortable with all of these guys, I can just throw it to whoever's open, and I don't have to worry about them not catching it or not being there or whatever. So that's why you're seeing guys like Schultz, Cedric Wilson has been crushing it in Gallup's absence. Noah Brown, like he's thrown it to anybody and everybody who's open, basically. So, different games, it's going to be different players depending on that defensive scheme that they happen to be playing that week, So
just as a what do you call them? An armchair quarterback or armchair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy for me to say this sitting from my sofa, eating pizza and wings on a Sunday. The one thing I do notice is because I'm heavily invested in Zeke this year, so I'm watching a lot of Dallas football. Is that
isn't it glorious?
Was that?
I said, isn't it glorious?
It is. They're winning these games that in the past they've lost. So McCarthy has these guys playing with a lot of confidence. And, this game that they just won against New England, that's a game a year or two ago, they would have lost that game. But now they're finding ways to win.
Agreed.
So
we never would have caught them after those first two touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right.
But here, just real quick on the receivers, one thing that I do kind of see, just again with my untrained eye, is Lamb seems to be more explosive. And sometimes Cooper, I don't know, he just comes off as a lazy receiver. Like he's not very aggressive. I don't see him going up and contending for footballs. He just kind of wants things to.
They're not really just throwing it up to him, though, really. Like, I don't think he's lazy. I think he just makes it look easy.
No, but there are a couple where they were contested and he kind of just waiting for the passes to drop in the breadbasket, so to speak, rather than going up and really contesting for some of these catches that are close. So again, that's just me watching him, and Lamb seems to be a little bit more aggressive and definitely more explosive. But other than that, that's not really a knock on Cooper because I still think
he's still a great receiver. But I actually agree with you that CD is a more talented receiver overall, and will have a better career when all is said and done than Cooper, I think, in the long run as well.
And I mean, let's be honest, he's got a nice smile.
A little smile and wave was awesome.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. All right, let's get back over here to the chat really quick. Due to half my team being on bye, I'm forced to start Miles Sanders for week 7. Womp womp. Ooh. Should I still start despite the Eagles being like a pass-only team, or pick some running back up off of waivers? I would say if McKissick's there, I'd go after like a McKissick.
I was gonna say it depends on who's on waivers.
Yeah, Miles Sanders not ideal, but if you can pick up like a McKissick, I'd probably play him over Sanders, but
maybe even like what's that kid's name in Cleveland? Hodge. I'd be trying to grab him with Chubb and Hunt hurt. They're saying Hunt can miss up to 6 weeks possibly now. Like,
sad day.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But maybe try to grab one of those guys.
What do you think, Tony?
I think it depends on who's there on waivers. I think Miles Sanders is probably good for around 15 touches a game. They're playing Las Vegas, which has been decent against the running back position. So, yeah, I mean, if you can find somebody, I don't know that I would trust McKissick, but I totally get what you're saying. You know, I like the kid from New England, Stevenson.
Stevenson, yeah, that's not a bad
He
option.
seems to be,
Harris is banged up.
not just Harris being banged up, but I thought that Brandon Bolden was going to step more into that James White type role because New England loves to have the dump off passes to the running back, and Steven seems to be taking on more and more of a receiver role in that offense. So maybe a guy like that, they do have a very nice matchup this week against the Jets, so he might be a guy to look at as well. But
No doubt.
You want to make sure that you're getting someone who's gonna touch the football, and I'm not sure how Washington's gonna handle if Gibson does miss, if it's going to be more Patterson or more McKissick. So I would feel a little bit uneasy about starting McKissick, not really knowing what to expect.
I feel like Patterson's probably going to be more your direct backup to Gibson. Actually, I think they're thinking he'll probably run the ball more. McKissick will just kind of keep his role on third downs, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So another guy too, just another sneaky guy this week. If he's on waivers, I don't know how deep your waivers are, but it may have been James Conner. Arizona is up against Houston this week, and that's a real nice matchup for running back. So Conner's another type of guy, sneaky guy that you can get on waivers that you might want to kind of plug and play for the 1 week, and he could have some standalone value moving forward, especially if anything happens to Edmonds. But he is getting those red zone looks, and if Edmonds banged up, they start to pull away in that game. Expect Conner to get more and more touches as the game progresses, depending on that game script.
I'm in a lot of leagues, and Connor's not available in any of them.
Nope.
Even our 8-teamer. So
yeah,
if he is, snag him up. But
yep.
And I'll give you another guy only because you keep knocking some of my guys down. Kenyan Drake is another guy. Philadelphia, another team very weak against the running back position. Kenyan Drake is developing more of a role on that offense.
He went crazy this week.
Yeah, he did really good.
He went nuts yesterday.
These are all freebies, by the way. I'm just throwing out there.
Just little pearls of wisdom
off the top of my head there, right? Just
all right.
I'm looking at the schedule, so.
Albert letting me know that Waller had 19 targets in week 1, and yeah, that's true. I mean, he was like the only guy on the field that week 1. That was incredible. All right, so it has happened.
Just get that out of the way.
Yeah. Hey, it's good to know. I was trying to think of one, and I couldn't think of one. So thanks, Albert. Appreciate that. Haters gonna hate. Philly Mike. Would you trade Henry for Adams and Mixon?
Only if you need a receiver. Otherwise, I ain't getting rid of Henry for nothing right now.
Right. You'd have to be pretty desperate for a receiver, I feel like. But I don't know, Tony. What do you think?
But I think it's a fair trade. Yeah.
I hate giving up the best player in the trade. I would not do that trade personally. I
wouldn't unless I really just absolutely needed a receiver.
Yeah, there's at some point, especially if you're having a bad season, that you kind of have to cash in your one good player. I mean, I've been in that situation. I'm in that situation right now with CMC in like 3 leagues where I'm like, if I can get something out of CMC, I need to get something out of CMC. I have to make a move to start winning some games. So if you're in that type of situation, I could see that. But yeah, I don't know. Tony, I'll let you finish your thought right quick.
I just think so. If you do DFS, if you do DraftKings at all, I'm in a couple of DraftKings leagues where we, obviously you draft your rosters each week, and every week there are always certain players that you have to have on your roster in order to win. You need to have like this last week. If you had the guys who competed this week and who finished in the top 3 had Stafford and what's his name as a stack, Cooper Kupp. And so guys like that, it's like you have a weekly advantage when you have certain players who you almost have to have in order to compete and win, not just weekly, but win your league. And Derrick Henry is one of those few players. CMC was that guy a couple of years ago.
Right.
I'm an old man, so I've been playing for a long time. But there were a couple of years where if you wanted to win your league, you had to have Marshall Faulk. You had to have LaDainian Tomlinson. Otherwise, you couldn't compete. And so Derrick Henry's that guy. He just guaranteed touches. They're incorporating now in the passing game. 3 touchdowns again tonight. You don't trade. You're not trading that guy. You're not selling high on him because he's not losing any steam.
Right.
Yeah.
So they got a tough defense. That just kind of sets itself up for Henry to continue to have a very strong season. He's going to be the fantasy MVP this year, easy.
I mean, when you look at the Bills' defense and what they've done so far this year, and then he just made them look silly. So I mean, he's matchup proof.
He is matchup proof.
So you need to be absolutely just really desperate to trade him.
But I would find another trade to make. That would not be my trade. My trade would not be let me sell high on Derrick Henry. One of the guys I played this week in my DFS was Mixon, because he had Detroit and he had a good game. Not what I expected. I thought he was going to blow up and be the number 1 running back this week potentially, and he wasn't. So they have their offensive line is a disaster. And I just don't trust Mixon on the season.
He was the number 4 running back this week in PPR. So
okay, well, he had a good week, but
it was good.
He also played Detroit, which is the easiest matchup for running backs.
Yeah, he wasn't Derrick Henry, but he was good.
He wasn't Derrick Henry, who played the Bills defense.
Yeah, he had the game. Mixon had the game he should have had, and Derrick Henry had an exceptional game that he should not have had.
Yeah. No, I would not trade Henry.
Yeah. All right, let's go on.
But value-wise, I'm sorry, just one last thing.
Go for it.
Value-wise, I do think value is probably fair in terms of I don't think that's an unfair offer.
Yeah.
I just don't know that I would be willing to move Henry is all.
On top of that, he says that Tony, you look like a skinny James Harrison.
What? Who's James Harrison? You mean
the old Pittsburgh linebacker James Harrison?
No, it says James Garrison. Who is
it's
James
Harrison.
Harrison.
Himself. It's
he
Harrison.
corrected in a second message. It said,
I'm not that skinny. I still got, I got some guns.
He's got that fisheye lens on his camera.
I look like a skinny James Harrison.
James Harrison, you're still skinny.
It just a little bit more white, but that's fine.
So maybe 10 years ago, the guy that everyone said I look like is Vin Diesel.
I could see that.
Actually, my head isn't shaved. I got a little bit of hair.
Yeah, the hair you're a little more Jason Statham, I think, than Vin Diesel.
All right.
No, sir. On that note, it's all about family. Come on, Vin.
On that note, are we panicking on Scary Terry?
No, definitely not. Why would you even think that? Come on now.
Yeah, I'm not.
One bad week does not a season make.
Well, I mean, it's 2 weeks without scoring double digits for him, so.
But still.
I know. It's
not panic on Terry.
11 targets and 8 targets. They're not paying up, but no, that and I was gonna get a little bit more nervous when Heineke took over, but Heineke's been doing great, so I'm not even worried about that.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Terry at all.
No. Okay. Also, thoughts on AJP? That gets me every time someone puts that. Ooh, I guess that's AJ Brown. So. What are your thoughts on that, Tony? We'll let you go first there, Man Crush.
I mean, last week he was my number 2 buy low candidate. You saw him get on track tonight. He's not been healthy. He's still gradually working him into a full complement of snaps. He looked like he played. I don't know the final numbers, but it looks like he played close to 100% of those snaps tonight. By the way, it looks like I kind of saw on the injury report or on the Twitter that Julio pulled a hamstring again in the fourth quarter. So apparently he's not fully healthy. AJ Brown was dealing with food poisoning going into tonight. it was question mark as to whether or not he was going to play. But you are not. My thoughts on AJ Brown are to get him if you can get him.
After tonight, you might not be able to.
You would have been getting last week,
especially in a national televised game where everyone's watching.
Yeah,
that offense is going to run through AJ Brown.
Yeah, you had 7 receptions on 9 targets for 91 yards. The window is closing to buy AJ Brown.
They were just a little bit out of sync. The Tennessee passing offense was a little bit out of sync the first couple of weeks. AJ, injured his hamstring, so he's been banged up. But yeah, I mean, you definitely want him on your team moving forward. Yeah. I think so. Let me say this point moving forward, forget about the pass. He's not going to finish here, but I think this point moving forward, he finishes as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver.
I agree.
I'm just going to smile and nod because I don't know if I agree or not. I think that's a bold statement, but I think it's possible. So
there are very few receivers in the league like him.
Yeah.
He's kind of what we were talking about. I think he's a more beefed up Antonio Brown, where he can score from anywhere on the field. He's a deep threat. He runs those crossing routes. There isn't anything this guy doesn't do.
I also like his schedule quite a bit, so it's not bad.
That helps.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I'm gonna run through this really quick just because I have to. It says I'm an Eagles fan. This is supposed to be I hate Dallas, but just to highlight it, but Dallas is legit.
They are legit.
So, okay, man after my heart here. Dez caught it. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
it's true.
Yep,
Those are hard facts.
What?
I think we're gonna get.
What? I think this guy's being converted right now. Mike, are you being converted?
What's this thing on Edmonds or McKissick? Is that the same one who was asking about the receivers?
Yeah, that was from
earlier.
That was from earlier when we were.
Yep. Yeah. So we got to go back up here to Charlie really quick, but I had to run through that because I'm just really proud of my Philly boy there.
Dallas may get to see Tampa Bay again in the NFC Championship game.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, it was close week 1, 2-point game, so maybe we'll get a rematch.
Yeah, I gotta see my Cowboys get there before I get too excited about it.
I'm just saying, man.
Here's one from Charlie. Do I get rid of Godwin? I have him in another league. Are you panicking on Godwin, Tony? That's all you got to see right there. Do not panic on Godwin.
No, I'm not getting rid of him.
Brady's throwing these just out of his mind. 40, 45 passes a game.
It's like a challenge. Like, can I throw as many passes as years old I am? Like, I feel like
he's the number 1 fantasy quarterback right now. You want as many shares in that offense as you can get. You just got to know that he's not going to go off every week, but he gives you a safe floor and he gives you the potential to kind of have some of these blow up games. I would not get rid of Godwin. And I don't know what you mean by get rid of him. If you're talking about trading Godwin, sure, you can work a trade as long as it helps your team. But
don't dump
him. You're not dropping Godwin. I don't know what that means. Get rid of him.
And don't sell him for super cheap.
Right. Yeah. You still need to get good value for him if you're getting rid of him.
I mean, let's not act like he just completely flopped. He still had 9.3 points.
Yeah, he's gonna have ups and downs, but
so here's
disappear.
So let's talk this out real quick, guys, if you don't mind. So let's say you have Godwin and you can flip him for another receiver or a running back. Give me one receiver and one running back you think you could flip Godwin for. Help this guy Charlie out.
I'm not sure anybody's trying to trade running backs right now, if I'm being honest.
But if someone had an excess amount of running backs,
let's see. If I'm looking at receivers though, like
I'll give you two guys. One of them was brought up tonight. I'll give you 3.
Let me guess. AJ Brown? No.
Well, sure, AJ Brown could be one of them, but I think if you could
flip him for wide receivers,
you can flip him for a Terry McLaurin. If you can flip him for even a Keenan Allen or a DK Metcalf, someone like that, a Calvin Ridley. Sure, I would move Godwin for one of those guys. But
yeah, maybe an Amari Cooper.
Sure.
Yeah, if someone's a little freaked on that.
I think I'd almost rather have Godwin than Cooper, but I hear what you're saying. And then as far as running backs are concerned, one guy I really, really like a lot, who his value is a little bit suppressed right now is Daryl Henderson in LA. I think, his schedule just looks great, and that offense is humming. And so you might be able to flip him for a running back like that, or maybe a Swift from
I was just
Detroit.
thinking Swift also,
Swift
yeah.
What I was gonna say,
someone like that. But I think DK is another guy, because DK owners are panicked right now after watching that game with Geno Smith, who looks horrible. DK's I'm not panicked on Metcalf, but he's just not going to be DK Metcalf until Russell comes back. But Russell looks like he will be back around week 10. He's ahead of schedule. And to know that you have DK on your roster for weeks 10 moving forward, to make your push for the fantasy playoffs and compete, I would think about doing something like that.
So here's another person I would say to flip Godwin wide receiver. A possibility would be Fournette. I think Fournette might still be flying under the radar, and that might be someone they would be willing to do. I mean, not to have a wide receiver and a running back on the same team sort of thing might be kind of an easy deal to get there. But I feel like Fournette's still just not getting the respect that he probably should be getting, because he's putting out that kind of production. And so you might be able to
clearly back there now. Like, coming into the year, nobody knew what the hell was going to happen, and I think they've made it pretty clear he's their guy. Yeah. So if you can still get him cheap, then that's a smart move, I think.
Definitely. Okay, here we go. Damon DeB says, should I play Allen Robinson this week?
Who do they play? Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
I guess if you were going to play him any week, the way they're going to have to throw to keep up with Tampa Bay, I'd say maybe give him a shot if you're hurt. I think we got a 6-team bye week with Buffalo, Dallas, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Chargers, and Jacksonville. Like, that's a lot of receivers that are out this week, good ones. So I could see you being a little strapped at receiver this week and needing to start him. So against Tampa Bay, I think he's got a good shot. Probably his best shot so far this season to reach double digits.
Yeah. So if you watched Fantasy Wall Street on Wednesday, Allen Robinson was a hold for me. I don't think we're moving off of Allen Robinson just yet. Now, this past Sunday, things definitely started to trend back in the positive direction for Allen Robinson. I believe he was, let me see here. Yeah, he was, Darnell Mooney was the number one targeted receiver there, but only by one target. He had 7 targets. Here's the concern right now with A-Rob. Fields just looks horrible. That offense just is a total disaster. His QBR from Sunday was like around 40, and he's not throwing the ball a ton. So I agree with what you're saying, Kyle, that if you're running into a bunch of issues with buys and you need a receiver, absolutely, it looks like he's trending in the right direction. They're probably going to have to score points to keep up with this Tampa offense. But if you have other options, I would want to give him another week or two just to kind of let them get things on track. But chances are we're all going to get hit with buys this week. There's a lot of players on buy 7, so you might have to plug them into your lineup.
Yeah, you don't feel great about it. You feel a little icky. You need to take a shower afterwards. But I mean, I think he's startable this week.
I don't know. I don't know that I feel icky about it. I probably still need to shower afterwards, but I think I feel comfortable with it.
I will say Darnell Mooney seems to be getting a lot of attention, and I do believe Allen Robinson is still a receiver to own in Chicago.
Yeah, let me see. Mooney had 8 targets this week versus 7 for Robinson. I mean,
I felt like they were trying to maybe force it to Allen a little bit more this week to try to get him involved. He's probably been griping a lot in the locker room about not getting the ball. So, I mean, we've seen him do that in the past. and they try to work him in. So maybe he did the same thing this week. Who knows? He can't be happy with his performance so far this year, though.
No, not at all. All right, let's go in here. Panic level on T. Higgins.
I'm not panicking on him. I mean, he's still a talented receiver. He's going to get, he's still working back. I didn't see what his target share looked like this week.
He was 3 of 6 for 44 yards.
So not great, but not terrible. I mean, 6 targets isn't terrible working your way back from an injury and stuff. So I'm not panicking on him just yet. I probably won't either.
No, I just think that he's the number 2 wide receiver on that team, but he's very talented, and they're going to have to throw the ball. So, yeah, I'm not panicked on him. I think you just know that he's the number 2, and that's what you're going to get.
Patience is key.
I probably disagree with you guys on this one.
That would surprise me very much.
So he says panic level. So give me a number on a scale from 0 to 10.
0 to 10. I don't know, maybe a 4. I'm not too worried about it.
I mean, I guess it depends on what your expectations are. The reason I'm not super panicked because my expectations aren't probably as high as most people. I avoided that. I'm sad I avoided Chase, but that was one of those wide receiver cores that I avoided just because there's a lot of talent there and a lot to go around. So I would say my panic level, with Chase emerging as much as he is, I mean, I'm at probably around a 5 or a 6 maybe, just because I think the expectations were really high for him for most people, and he should be he's taking a back seat to Chase big time. Chase is the man. So I'm not that high on him.
Chase is definitely the number 1 there. So now, again, if you watched our Fantasy Wall Street on Wednesday, Jamar Chase was actually one of my sell high candidates. And when I mean sell high, I meant you have to go back and watch the podcast if you didn't see it. Not saying to sell Chase, but his value is sky high right now, at least going into the Sunday game against Detroit this past week. And so if you could flip him for some real elite value, I did that myself because I had Chase in one of my leagues. I'm selling right now Cincinnati receivers. I'm selling them all over the place. My panic level on Higgins is probably around a 7 or an 8 because he's the number 2, because the offensive line is a mess, and because their schedule remaining on the season is absolutely brutal. It is probably the worst schedule remaining for receivers in fantasy. They've got Baltimore Jets. They've got the Raiders, the Chargers. They play Denver and Baltimore weeks 15 and 16, which are your fantasy playoff weeks. You don't want any of those defenses.
But look at that championship week, though. Kansas City.
You've got to get to Kansas City in order to play them against Kansas City. Kansas City has been surprisingly tough. They're in the negative for fantasy receivers, so they're not unnecessarily a positive matchup. They've been surprisingly tough against receivers. So it's just a brutal matchup. Baltimore Jets, Cleveland, Vegas, Pittsburgh Chargers, 49ers, Denver, Baltimore.
That's rough.
It's a rough schedule. So for that, and number 2, offensive line's a mess. I just Chase is not going to keep this up. He's not going to maintain this 25% conversion.
There's no way.
And touchdowns. So yeah, so I'm probably like around a 7 or 8. I'm moving T. Higgins if I can get fair value for him.
Cool. So we covered from a range of 4 to 8 in that answer. So we did really good for you there, Albert. Glad we could help.
That helps.
I think for me too, it also goes along with what Corey said. When I drafted him, like I didn't expect him to be a stud. Like I had it. Like you pretty much knew going in, Jamar Chase was drafted to be that guy. And so I wasn't expecting him to be a 15, 20 point a week guy anyways. So, he's a flex receiver. And if I got him as my flex, my number 3 receiver, like I'm not panicked.
Well, just so you know, going into the season, there are many sites that had him ranked, top 15, top 16 receiver.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't.
But this is the question is on a panic scale. Where are you at with T. Higgins?
Yeah.
I just don't see him being a real value with that schedule and his role in that offense.
I agree with that, actually. Damn it. Had to say it. All right. Andrew, 12-team PPR, Burrow, Eckler, Swift, CEH, Damian Harris, Connor. Oh, my gosh. Tony, any trades I should try to make 1 to 5? What's 1 to 5?
Oh, he's 1 and 5.
He's 1 and 5. Got it. Yeah, you should try to unload CEH, Damian Harris, Woods, Myers.
Get rid of Ayuk.
Well, it's no wonder you got all these letdowns.
Yeah, you got a lot of bummers on there.
Anderson, man, you got hosed. It's looking like Hawkinson is your tight end, Ertz maybe as your flex now.
His team doesn't look that bad. I'm surprised.
It really doesn't. It sounds like he's had some bad luck.
That's the story of this year. I've seen too many good rosters that are
I got a couple of teams
really
like
bad
this that are also 1 and 5, 2 and 4. Just bad luck with matchups. Honestly, it happens sometimes that way.
Eckler,
if I was you,
Swift,
I think the one move I would look to make is maybe try to upgrade Burrow a bit. Maybe
it's hard without seeing the rest of the rosters and what other people's needs and stuff are too. But
yeah,
well, here you've got some depth at running back, so you might be able to move one of your.
You might be able to use like Connor or Damian Harris to upgrade Burrow. That's maybe or Tony. Yeah. Tony or Mike Thomas there maybe try to upgrade Burrow.
Yeah, there is a lot of running back out there. You have good wide receiver.
Someone probably drafted a quarterback to be a backup that's better than what you got as your starter there. So someone's going to have an extra QB that's going to need a running back or receiver that you can go get, I'm thinking. So that's what I would look for.
Yep. Cool. Tony, you got any more advice before we move to the next one?
No, it's just harder because you're looking at his team in a vacuum. So I think, what I would try to do is identify some teams in the league who maybe have really been hit with injuries at the running back position. Because you have some depth there at the running back with Eckler, Swift. CH will be coming back from IR. Damian Harris, even Connor might have some value, and see if you can pair him up with. Wait for Kadarius Toney or somebody to have a real strong week and see if you can pair them up and flip them. There might be some people who are high on Ertz right now because he's going to Arizona. Yep. And so you might be able to sell him high, package him up with the running back and upgrade, one of your other positions here. But you don't have a bad team. It just seems like you probably have had some tough matchups. I agree with Kyle. Moving Burrow and upgrading at the quarterback position might be something that I would look at doing. It's just going to be hard to pry a guy, you're not going to get an Allen or a Murray or somebody like that. So maybe you can get Herbert, he had a down week this week, and maybe get somebody like that at your quarterback position.
Or shoot for someone like maybe Hurts or Stafford.
Yeah, because Hurts is most people's number 2.
Stafford wouldn't be bad because then you can get the stack with Bobby Trees.
Yeah,
or
Herbert
maybe even like Lamar Jackson, who just had a bad week. Yeah. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah, and trade CEH to whoever picked up Daryl Williams. Just CEH is going to be worthless for you now, probably.
Daryl Williams got like 20-something carries. Has CEH ever gotten 21 carries?
He had 21 carries and 4 targets.
Have they ever given CEH that kind of workload? I'm not sure I've seen him get more than 15 touches in a game.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire, his highest so far for the season is 17 rushes. His most is 3 targets. So Daryl Williams definitely outdid that. But it could have been a Washington matchup type thing too. So
very interesting.
Let's see it happen twice, right? Okay, so Jay asks, Diggs or Cup rest of season full PPR?
Give me Cup.
Cup. Yep.
Diggs is great, but I give the nod to Cup.
Diggs is good, but Stafford targets Cup relentlessly. So, yeah, give me Kupp.
Yep. Would you sell high on Fournette?
No. I think I'd stick with him. He's proven at this point like he's the guy. He's getting the workload. I'd stick with him.
And I like his schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah,
minus,
what's that?
Minus maybe Buffalo in week 14.
Well, Henry just proved you can beat him. And Fournette's a bigger running back too, so maybe.
Yeah.
He's not as fast as Derrick Henry, but.
Well, but they also have to respect that pass a little bit more. So so they'll have to back off a little bit more there too.
That's
so that'll open up some space for Fournette.
Well, you're playing Tom Brady instead of Ryan Tannehill.
Yep.
I love Fournette.
Yeah.
On that offense, Ronald Jones just cannot get himself out of the doghouse. Fournette is just dominating the touches, not just carries, but also targets out of the backfield. He gets the red zone carries at the goal line. I would not sell, because when you say sell high on Fournette, I'm not quite sure what you would get for Fournette. And so would really have to make your team better someplace else to move a guy like him. I know that Tampa Bay's on a bye this week, right?
No, I don't think.
No, they're playing Chicago, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, they're playing.
They don't have a bye until week 9.
Week 9. Okay. All right. So forget about that thought then. I thought they were on bye this week. So I was going to say, if you can get through this week's bye, you also have a running back who's been through the bye weeks to get you through the remaining byes. But yeah. I mean, if you could get really, really good value for him, I would consider it, but it's got to be worthwhile. I don't know that you're going to get what he's really worth.
Well, I was going to say, it's like two things we were talking about earlier. Tony said, if you want a piece of that offense on your roster, if you can get it. And he's not splitting with Rojo anymore because Rojo is awful. And yeah, I mean,
they've not gotten Gio into that offense. The issue with Tampa Bay running backs going into the season is we thought it was going to be more of a committee approach, and it's not a committee approach.
Not at all.
Fournette is dominating those touches, and you want that guy on your team.
Yeah, and then the other thing is, like Tony said at the just a second ago, like, and we talked about this a little bit more earlier too, was people still don't respect the fact that he's getting that, and you're probably not going to get what he's worth out of him if you do trade him. So, yeah, I'd totally stick with him for sure.
Yeah, I would too. All right.
Haters gonna hate. Is he saying I'd flip Godwin for good? He's just commenting about that trade, the guy that we would flip Godwin for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kyle, make sure you're watching the bottom of the chat there in case there's anything I'm missing, because I'm still way up here. I'm way behind.
Well,
actually,
every time I talk about something, I miss like 5 or 6. It's flying.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one from Jay. Who do you have as your top 5 wide receivers going forward that aren't Hill or Adams in full PPR? So aside from Hill and Adams, who are your top? I mean, it's obviously Cooper Kupp. Right. DeAndre Hopkins. Go for it, Tony.
That's not Hill or Adams.
Right. So obviously Kupp and Hopkins, right?
Kupp, Hopkins, Diggs.
Yeah. Tony, you in agreement with that? Are we in agreement?
Yeah, I still, I know there was a question earlier about DJ Moore. I still love DJ Moore on the season.
I do too.
Moore, I like him a lot. There's a few that I'm trying to pick between here. You've got Metcalf,
the other guy who I think is right in there with Hill and Adams, who, if you're going to eliminate guys at that level that you're going to want to eliminate, is Justin Jefferson. That guy is just he's a monster in that offense. Cousins is throwing real well, and he looks fantastic. And he had another 14 targets on Sunday. So
yeah, Jefferson.
He's another guy who's really he's approaching that category, that elite level where you've got to put him in.
since he didn't eliminate him, he's definitely in that top 5.
No, but I mean, if you're doing, okay, let's say we're doing tiers, and so you've got Adams and Hill in the elite tier 1. Jefferson is very close to that tier.
He's
Jefferson,
close. Yeah.
I think you could almost move him into that tier 1, just based on his target share and opportunity and how they use him in that offense and his talent. So that's what I was saying, is I think he's kind of at that level, is that if you're going to eliminate the elite guys, you have to even consider Jefferson to be at that. So Jefferson, Kupp, DJ Moore, you said Diggs.
Diggs and Hopkins.
Another guy that I love moving forward, again, forget about the first 6 weeks, but
Ridley.
this point moving forward is Ridley.
Yeah.
Ridley, DK,
I
AJ Brown.
Ridley
There's a
moving
bunch
forward.
of them that are real close in there.
He is the receiver in that offense and is getting the targets every single week. He's averaging 11 to 12 targets a game.
I actually took your Wall Street advice the other day, Tony, and I traded Dalton Schultz and Cortland Sutton for Ridley in one of my leagues.
That is a no-brainer. and that could help you win the league, that type of a deal.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I went no running back in that league anyway. So I already had Diggs and Adams, so now I got Ridley and DJ Moore. DJ Moore was my third round pick, so that's my. And you could it's a 2 receiver, 2 flex, so I can start all 4 of those. And Waller's my tight end.
And nice, just so you know, so Ridley was back at practice today. So
yeah, he was gone on a personal matter. They said it wasn't even an injury. So
yep, he's back.
So he's got Deebo Samuel. Haters gonna hate put Deebo. So Deebo is not
even close.
Not bad, but I don't know that he's top 5, especially with the mess with Garoppolo and Trey Lance. So
yeah,
okay.
I'm gonna skip down here. It's jumping around. Hold on. I'm gonna get it.
There's so many going right now.
Here's one. Suggestions on people to trade Jamar for.
Jamar Chase.
Ridley.
I think you can squeeze more than Ridley.
I've still got your list here, Tony, actually in front of me. Ridley, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf. I'd go for any of those guys.
Well, DK, just know that DK is not going to produce for you right now, but I think you can really get. So again, the example I used in Fantasy Wall Street was I traded Chase and Cordell Patterson and Schultz for Ridley and Darren Waller. So that was a trade that I made, and I think if you can take Chase and even add another guy and turn that into like Ridley and another elite player like a Waller, those are the
running back
you can really consider. Yeah,
maybe you can get Ridley and Fournette for him.
Yeah, but I mean, but people are in love with Chase, so
yes, they are.
His value is sky high right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it straight up for Ridley, but that's a guy I would target if I was looking to trade Chase.
I think moving forward, Ridley is a better fantasy receiver than Chase. I think he finishes, this point moving forward, I think he finishes higher than Chase. But I think you can get more for him because I think Ridley's value is kind of at an all-time low right now.
Well, on that same note, LeBron's asked, what do you think about CD for Ridley rest of season? Like, I have Dak for the combo, if that matters. So, would you take Ridley over CD or CD over Ridley?
Oh, that's a close one for me.
I love the stack.
I was gonna say the only thing making me say CD is the stack. It's the stack.
I love the stack.
The Dak stack.
That may be one of the few exceptions that I would make for not grabbing Ridley is to have that stack. So I would not break that up.
No, I'm a sucker for a stack, especially a Cowboy stack. Are you kidding me?
A good stack like that.
Yeah.
Ugh, the Dak stack is so good. All right. Let's see. Trying to get through here to see what's actually questions. Fitzpatrick could be back in a couple weeks, maybe for Heineke. I don't know. What do you think if Fitzpatrick comes back? You think Heineke keeps the job?
Yeah, I think so at this point, don't you?
You think Heineke keeps it over Fitzpatrick?
I don't know. I mean, they're
probably
kind of in a rhythm. I mean, would you really take him back out after starting for this long? I don't know.
Unless they're winning. You know, if they go 5-0 under Heineke, you're like, okay, we got a good thing with Heineke right now. We don't want to kind of mess that up, but I don't think that's the case.
No,
I'm looking right now. I'm trying to see the standings here because I don't think, Washington is 2-4. You're gonna leave Heineke in at 2-4.
Depends on what the goals are.
I mean, they took Fitzpatrick out in Miami and he was winning. So
yeah, for Tua. And that, I don't know that was the right call to make, but that was a totally different situation. Heineke is a backup. He's not a starting quarterback. They bought Fitzpatrick in there for a reason. I think Fitzpatrick goes back in. I don't think they leave the job with Heineke.
I think they know they've stand a better chance at winning with Fitzpatrick. So
I hope
we all know that
Fitzpatrick in, but
I think it depends.
You never know what they're going to do.
They're not Miami. They're still stupid, but they're not Miami. All right, here's one. Trade alert. Just got offered Swift, Thielen, and Woods for Cooper Kupp.
Unless you need Swift, if you need a running back, I'd stick with Kupp.
I agree there. Kupp is the best player in that deal, but Swift is not a bad running back to have. Just depends on what your running back situation looks like, honestly, and your wide receiver situation too. I mean, it depends on what your roster looks like, I feel like. Do you feel like that's fair value, Tony?
I think value-wise, it's fair. I think that
I agree with that.
I think that Kupp and Swift are close. I think Kupp is the best player in the deal. I'd like to know what's your running back situation?
Yeah, we'll come back to that here in a second then, because I'm sure he'll answer that down here. Let's go to Hector really quick. Should I stash Rojo in case of a trade? Also, Fournette never stay healthy so much. So should we stash Rojo? I don't think even if he gets traded, I know that there's some buzz, but I don't think Rojo. I don't think it matters if he even does get traded.
If he gets traded, he's still not going to produce nothing. So
I'll tell you guy to keep an eye on in case of a trade is Marlon Mack.
That's who everybody says to keep an eye on in case of trade. They gave him 5 carries yesterday to try to showcase him.
Asking for a trade.
Yeah, he asked for a trade. So yeah, I would look more at Marlon Mack there. All right, Jalen Hurts for Daryl Williams and Saints defense. I have Tom Brady and Hunt. Chubb are hurt. I have no defense other than Buffalo, so I have no defense for the next week. I mean, if you already have Tom Brady, Jalen Hurts is your number 2.
No, I think I just don't like trading for defenses
or a temporary.
And Daryl Williams is not good value for Hurts. If that guy needs a quarterback and is trying to get Hurts from you, bleed him. Like, you can do much better than Daryl Williams in a defense. You can still get the defense tacked on there, but you can do better than Daryl Williams.
I agree that you can do better than Daryl Williams, probably.
I don't know what his roster has on it, but that's a waiver guy. He's trying to trade you to get himself a starting quarterback.
Yeah. Why are we interested in Daryl Williams? Because Hunt and Chubb are hurt, and so you want a short-term fix?
Sounds like people offered this for Hurts because the guy saw his defense was out. But you can stream a defense or whatever. But you can definitely do better than Daryl Williams for Hurts.
Yeah.
So just 2 quick thoughts. One, you're giving him a starting quarterback rest of the season because Jalen Hurts, I think, is around 7. Last time I checked,
he was going.
At least going into this last week, he was 7.
Yeah.
For a running back who is
right now on Sleeper, Jalen Hurts is looking to be the number 3 quarterback right now.
Yeah. So wherever it is, he's top 10, and you're going to get a running back rental for the next couple of weeks. You are going to regret that type of a trade if Tom Brady gets hurt this week. And now you're looking at starting, Mac Jones on the season. So Jalen Hurts is real nice, especially with your bye week coming up. Who you said Tampa Bay is what, week 9?
Week 9, yeah.
And let's see. Philadelphia has the Chargers. So, okay. Not the best matchups, but Jalen Hurts is a nice guy to have on your bench in case something does with Tom Brady insurance. So it's got to really be worthwhile. I wouldn't do it for a rental running back, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're getting Daryl Williams for what, 2 more weeks, maybe 3,
and then a defense next week,
and then a defense for 1 week. I'd stream a defense and maybe just try to get something else for Hurts. If he absolutely needs a QB, I would take advantage of that and get something you need. If you got Hunt and Chubb hurt, I'd try to get a much better running back than Daryl Williams. At least someone you can use more than a couple of weeks.
Yeah. All right, let's go to this next one from Kyle Ellis. Trade Demont for Claypool and Jones Jr. I'm 3-3, 6 out of 10. My wide receivers are AJ Brown, Jamar Chase, Lockett, Galladay. Running backs are Henry, Taylor, Edmonds, Collins, Mitchell, Herbert, Dillon. DK is his wide receiver too. So no. I personally would not trade David Montgomery for Claypool and Jones Jr. because you don't need them. Look at that wide receiver depth you have, and running backs are much more difficult to get. I understand that you have you have Henry, Taylor, Edmonds, fine, and Mitchell, but I would keep Montgomery in that situation. I wouldn't make that trade.
Yeah, when Montgomery comes back, you got a really good flex running back that you can stick in there, as opposed to Claypool and Jones, who with DK, Brown, Chase, like Claypool and Jones will hardly ever see your roster. There's just there's just no reason for it.
I can't figure out how you're 3-3. That's
right.
I can't either.
Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, DK, AJ Brown, and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I think if you're going to make a trade, I'd be interested in hearing who your tight end is and who your quarterback is. You have great receiver depth, and you've got tremendous running backs. So I would not do that. I don't know how you don't make the playoffs with that lineup. And 10th seed. It was a 10-team league.
Yeah. 6 out of 10. So it sounds like he's just had some bad luck with his matchups.
Yeah, but you just got to stick this out. Your guys are going to be fine. You got really good players.
I'd sit tight. You'll have some more wins coming.
I'm assuming you have a flex. So Henry and Taylor, you got DK, AJ Brown, Jamar Chase. So those are your 5 starters.
And then you got Montgomery as a flex when he comes back.
I don't know why you would grab Claypool if you're going to move for a Pittsburgh receiver. I do like Claypool, especially with Smith-Schuster out for the season. But we all saw yesterday that Deontay Johnson is really the receiver to own in Pittsburgh. So yeah.
Yep. Hey, haters gonna hate. That's Philly Mike over there. Chill out in the chat, bro. You a little too fired up. Just FYI.
No such thing. To be fired up. I like it.
No, too fired up. Too fired up. Let's see. Let's make sure that I don't miss any actual questions. Okay. What do you think of CD, CEH, Higgins for Ridley Cooks? I need a solid wide receiver core because of injuries. CEH, not great. Higgins, Cooks, I'm guessing that's Brandon Cooks, so because he needs a wide receiver core.
Oh no. CD Ridley for me is a tough decision.
Yeah, and then it'd be CEH Higgins for Cooks.
Like, I'd take Cooks for Higgins. CEH, when he comes back, might still be useful
as a flex.
Yeah, he could be a good flex in certain certain matchups. I don't think I'd be ready to make that move right there.
He also asked, what about CD for DJ Moore? I think I like DJ Moore there more.
I'd rather have DJ Moore if you're doing straight across, like just CD for DJ. I'd do DJ.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that. CD for I prefer to have DJ. I don't think that other trade was necessarily a bad trade.
Yeah, let me go back to that really quick.
Yeah,
that's just a tough trade. I don't think it's a bad trade. I think
it's
not
just a bad trade.
I'd rather be rolling out Ridley and Cooks each week than CD and Higgins. I think that strengthens your receiving core. CEH is kind of the question mark for me. And we look, here's the thing too, is we don't really know how this backfield is going to work out when CEH comes back, because Williams might carve out a role for himself in that offense. And we could see more of a committee as opposed to CEH, totally dominating those touches.
Yeah, I think like what it boils down to for me as well is whether what your running backs look like on your roster and whether you'll need CEH when he gets back or not. If you don't need him, then go for it.
But I do think that Ridley and Cooks are the two better receivers. So that does upgrade your receiver. If that's what you're looking to do, I think you definitely accomplish that.
Yeah.
I think CEH is the wild card there, though. If you're not going to need him when he comes back, then yeah, go for it. I mean,
yeah,
it just depends on what your running back depth looks like, honestly.
Agree.
Cooks is really, he's on fire, and
his ridiculous.
He to me is kind of a buy high candidate. I'm buying Cooks. I like Cooks. You already know how I feel about Ridley. Houston, their defense is not very good, so they're going to have to continue to throw the ball and air the ball out. Their schedule is not bad, so I could see myself pulling a trigger on that trade.
Kind of speaking of Ridley here, would you do Jamar for Ridley?
I personally would do that. I think that you could probably get more for Jamar in terms of squeezing more for the guy who has Ridley.
That's a sell high, buy low kind of thing there. I mean, I think you could probably get more than Ridley out of that deal. But that's a good, I mean, I personally like Ridley more than Jamar too. But I think you can actually get more out of that at this moment right now.
I agree with
that. All right, James. Maybe. Okay, trade Hopkins and Monty for Tay if I already have Henry, Jones, and Henderson.
For Tay? Devonte?
I'm guessing so.
Must be Devonte. Can't just type Devonte. If you already have Henry, Jones, and Henderson.
Oh, I missed another one up here, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, it doesn't look like you need Monty, but
the way he spelled Tay, Tae, makes me wonder because up here, this is the one I missed. Rank these wideouts best season, and he wrote Deontay in there, which I'm guessing is Deontay Johnson.
I wouldn't trade Hopkins for Deontay, then no.
That's just a guess.
Best to worst for the wideouts. Give me. Man, Ridley Hopkins is tough, honestly.
I'd go Hopkins.
Probably stick with Hopkins, then Ridley, Deontay, Debo.
Yeah. That's where I'm going with that as well. Tony, what do you think?
What was it? What did you say? What did you come up with?
Hopkins, Ridley, Deontay, Debo.
Hopkins, Ridley, Deontay, Debo. Yeah, I would definitely put Debo at the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think Hopkins and Ridley are neck and neck for me.
Yeah,
So
me too. But I think I give Hopkins a slight edge just based on who's throwing to him.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I am going to come back to.
Oh, James did say here,
yeah,
he meant Devonte. So,
okay, so trade Hopkins and Monty for Devonte. If I already have Henry, Jones, and Henderson,
so you don't need Monty. So with Hopkins for Devante Adams, Hopkins for Devonte is good, but if you're giving Monty, you can get more than Devonte out of that.
I would agree.
If you got another weakness, if you need like some tight end help or something like that, I would try to push for something like that on there too.
I'm not sure that I love Devonte that much more than Hopkins.
Not enough to give up Monty like that. No, not like
to
that.
Just throw Monty in there is just because he's hurt right now.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think that's too high a price. I think you're helping out the other team too much in that. You're bailing them out of a situation, it feels like. So I wouldn't do that. I'm curious to see what Tony has to say.
I
can see the wheel turning over there.
That's how am I going to disagree with these guys? Kind of
like no, not at all, not at all.
Sometimes you just need to sit back and think about things, and on stream you don't always have time for it. It's
it's hard.
Yeah, no, I think I'm curious to know who your other receivers are. I wonder if you can pair someone else with Monte. But Devante Adams is just one of those very few receivers who every single week can finish as the number one wide receiver, the wide receiver one in fantasy. Hopkins is more like, I think he's top 10. But he, in that offense and just kind of the way they're utilizing some of the other receivers, you got Ertz going in there. I do like Devonte Adams probably more than Hopkins. I like him a lot more than Hopkins than maybe you guys do. Or I shouldn't say a lot more. I like him more than Hopkins than you guys probably do. So I personally might do that type of a deal because he's set at the running back position. And Devonte Adams is just one of those, again, he's one of those top three. He's an elite receiver. And so, you get him on your team and you're pairing him up with Derrick Henry. It's just sick.
Here's
Aaron Jones.
He just posted his receivers. He has Ridley, Hopkins, Deontay, Johnson. Oh shit, it skipped. Judy, Julio, and Mike Thomas.
Where do you see that? I like to see that. Ridley, Hopkins, Deontay.
At the bottom.
Here you go.
Ridley, Hopkins.
And you're playing a flex, James? You got a flex?
I would assume so.
Yeah, I would assume so.
I'm just confirming.
So he'd have Devonte, Ridley, and Deontay would be his top three receivers on top of those three running backs. With that, I think that changes my answer, and I say grab Devonte absolutely immediately.
Is this an 8-man league?
It seems like it. Oh, his flex is Henderson right now.
This has to be an 8-man league. There's no way.
Is when he says Jones, you talk about Aaron Jones?
He just said, yes, sir, it's an 8-man. So
yeah.
I was like, holy cow, how do you get all those guys?
Okay, that changes everything. Do the deal. What the hell are you waiting for? Just do it.
8-man league, those receivers, those running backs. Monty is irrelevant. Get Devonte.
So in an 8-man league, that changes everything.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Situation sometimes.
You do not need Montgomery. I actually like Henderson's over Montgomery. And your two starters every week are going to be Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones. And if you're rolling out Devonte Adams, Ridley, and Deontay Johnson in your flex, that's a ridiculous lineup.
Why are you here? You don't need us.
Yeah, right.
No, James, you need us. Don't leave me. No,
don't leave, but you don't need us.
Haters gonna hate. Seals Jones.
You need us.
Seals Jones or Noah Fant. I'm guessing that this is going back to a DFS question. Just FYI, we do have a DFS show joining the network that will be on Saturdays. We will be having that, and then in our pregame show on Sunday mornings, we will have a lineup before lock
I wasn't.
Huh?
I wasn't invited to participate in that DFS show.
Yeah,
The
we need a
DFS show, we
DFS
have a guy
expert.
doing his own show.
All right, I'm good.
And
Yeah.
then the pregame, you're always welcome. We've invited you to the pregame, so I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, real quick on this one. I'm playing Seals Jones.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Noah Fant going up against Cleveland, who has been brutal. They're probably one of the top defenses against tight ends. So that pushes me in the Seals Jones direction. And Heineke is definitely, providing him with a strong target share. He's just stepped in right where Logan Thomas left off.
Yep, he's doing great. I'm gonna have to start Connor and Collins as my running backs next week. Collins might be hurt too. Yep. So should I trade for a temporary fix like Daryl Williams or Booker?
Depends what you have to give up.
Yeah, I agree.
It totally depends on what you give up. Otherwise, I just try to grab one of these guys off of waivers that we've been talking about tonight, Hodge or Stevenson. Crap, I forgot. Is it Patterson, the guy backing up Gibson, McKissick? Any of those guys would be.
Yeah, don't give up too much because it's all temporary, right? Collins is temporary. Derrick Williams is temporary. Booker's temporary. All of them are temporary. So don't give too much.
Collins is just real quick. Collins is going up against New Orleans this week, which they've got a pretty stout defense coming off a bye. So I'm not excited to start Alex Collins this week. Although if you're having an issue at running back, then you have no choice. You got to start him because he's a starter and he's going to get volume. He might be hurt too. I don't know what his injury situation is.
Yeah, it's actually looking like he may not actually get to play. But I think I did read earlier that they are bringing Rashad Penny maybe off of IR or maybe with a chance to play because of it. So anyways, keep a close eye on that. But he got 16.8 points this week against Pittsburgh's defense. So Alex Collins can produce against a tough defense. So
if Alex Collins doesn't play this week, I might look to someone like DJ Dallas to maybe cover that spot too as a waiver guy.
I would look at Travis Homer before DJ Dallas.
Either one of them. It's kind of like the McKissick-Patterson deal in Washington. Like, depends on what happens with waivers, who's available already, and what have you. But just a few.
So real quick, I kind of like Daryl Williams. I think you got to cross Booker off your list, especially because he's going up against Carolina. So you're not gonna grab Booker in a trade and start him this week. I do think Daryl Williams could be better than the options that are on waivers. It just depends on what you have to give up to get him. So should I trade for a temporary fix? And so what does that trade look like? If you can get Daryl Williams, and you can use him as a plug-in for the next 2 or 3 weeks while CEH is out, that might help you through your bye weeks.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, you don't always have to be discouraged with starting 2 less than ideal running backs. In my work league, this guy started because of injuries. Ramondre Stevenson and Mark Ingram. They got 12 and 8 points respectively, and I only won by 9 my matchup. So don't always panic if you don't have to start a subpar. I mean, I started Antonio Gibson and got 2. So, it happens. You can still win and do well starting Connor and one of those other flex guys or whatever.
I was going to say Connor plays Houston. I like that a lot. And so
it's a really good matchup.
Yeah, I think you can get away with that.
Did you see James posted his tight end is Kelsey and his quarterback is Murray? Just get the trophy now.
Okay, yeah, that's a 4-team league.
Devonte Adams and Derrick Henry. It's crazy.
Are you playing in that 6-man league that Mike was talking about earlier? You in that 6-man sleeper league?
He's in a 4-man league playing with like 3rd graders. Come on, man. Picking on.
All right, let's get this one really quick. Jamar and Thielen for DJ Moore and Robert Woods.
Yep. If you're getting more in Woods, yeah.
I would do that.
I want more.
Getting more in Woods. Yep. Let's see. Devonte Adams, should I sell high? Should I sell high on Thielen? If so, who would I target?
I don't think I'd be trying to sell him. He's going to be a red zone threat in that offense all year long.
and say I just traded for him in a league.
I wouldn't be worried about
I did a buy low, and then he came back and had a good game again. So
I wouldn't be worried about trying to sell him high or sell him at all.
It depends on. I mean, who should I target? It depends what you think. It depends what you can get for him. Should I sell Thielen high? I would sell him. I don't necessarily.
Depends on what you. I mean, if you can get a good enough haul for him, I'd sell him. But I wouldn't be like intentionally trying to just get rid of him.
Well, it depends on if he's your third or fourth wide receiver and you're needing some running back help, like we all are at this point. Like, there's circumstances where you would sell high on Thielen,
But I just mean, like, without those details in a vacuum,
right.
Like, there's really no reason to just sell him high. Like, it's not a situation where he had a good week and he's not going to do it again.
Agree.
I don't trust Thielen. He's injury prone. Very rarely makes it through a full season. He's not. He's not. Jefferson's the man to own there. Dalvin Cook is coming back healthy. So if I had Thielen and I thought he had a high value right now, I would be trying to move him. I just don't know. Who should you target? I don't know who you should target. I don't know what you need on your team. If you're looking for running backs, we've talked about a few guys saying Henderson is one of them. I would move Thielen for a Henderson. I would move
Fournette
for a Fournette. I would move him for a Swift, or if you think you can get somebody like that out of Thielen, I would do that in a heartbeat.
You say Thielen is injury prone?
Yeah.
Huh. He missed no games in 2017, no games in 2018, 2019. He missed like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he had 6 missed games in there from an injury. Last year he missed 1, and this year so far none. So he's had 2019. He was injured then. He got an injury, but other than that, he's not injury prone.
He to me is an injury risk.
It's because he's old.
Injury prone and injury risk are two very different things.
So he could break a hip at any moment.
I would argue, Tony, that you're more injury risk than I am because you're
that
old.
Could be true.
Fall risk. Let's see. Kyle Ellis has another one in here for his 8-man league. 3 wide receivers, 3 running backs. Would you trade Dak, Waddle, and Emmanuel Sanders for Brady and Claypool?
No.
Jamar Chase, AB Woods, Michael Brown. No, probably.
No. I'd rather have Waddle and Sanders than Claypool. And Dak, Brady, I mean, yeah, Brady's scoring better right now, but
now he has Antonio Brown, so you could have that Brady Brown stack, which could be kind of fun.
Could be fun, but I'm just not high enough on Claypool to trade Sanders and Waddle.
So you're looking to upgrade from Dak to Brady. That's what it is.
That's pretty much the move.
I
think Dak, if he didn't have that one game where he scored like 9 points because all they did was run, he'd probably be scored closer to Brady. But
Brady also had a bad week thrown in there, so we can kind of cancel those two out. Dak had one with 7.48 in this one, so let's say 7.5 points, and Brady had one where he just had 11. So they both had one bad week.
Yeah. I probably would not do that trade, and I'm going to tell you why. I think we just talked about Brady as the number 1 quarterback right now in fantasy, but one of the things you kind of want to get in the habit of doing, and I've already done it a few times tonight, is when you're talking about making trades, you want to really look to schedules. You want to kind of get an idea of what you're going to be looking at, who's a good, what your situation is. Are you trying to improve your team in the short term or in the long term? You want to have an eye also on those fantasy, those fantasy playoff games and playoff fantasy weeks. Tampa Bay in weeks 14, 15, and 16, which are your championship weeks, has Buffalo, New Orleans, and Carolina. Not that Brady can't produce fantasy points, but it's a tough schedule.
Whew.
Dallas has Washington, the Giants and Washington again, who have been those are two of the friendliest defenses to quarterbacks in fantasy. You do not want to lose those matchups, because when it comes to week 14, you're looking at your matchups and you're like, man, Brady's playing Buffalo in week 14, my first week of my playoffs, and Dak has Washington. Believe me, you're gonna prefer to have Dak with those types of matchups. So,
because imagine you get in that first round of the playoffs and you're playing against the guy that you traded Dak to, and he smokes your ass because
again, not that Brady can't produce. But the schedules are really, really essential. It's important that you incorporate that into your thought process when you're looking at trades. Not that, I mean, there are guys who are matchup proof, but you do have to take that into consideration when you're splitting hairs and you're trying to figure out who's the better guy for your long-term outlook on the season.
Yep. I agree. All right, DJ Vic, 1 by 0.5 due to Knox's hand injury. Hey, good for you.
Nice.
Go Cowboys, by the way. Agree, my man. All righty. Let me see.
I always get nervous when I win at the end of a night, like by that little, because I worry about like point corrections. You know, if you add 1 point to his side and then I wake up and I've lost now, I hate that crap. So I always get a little bit nervous with that close of games.
Absolutely. Yeah, that makes me really nervous. Jason asks, would you give up Myers or
that? Actually, real quick, Tony, did you ever get credit for those tackles against that matchup with Corey?
Yeah, I did. I beat him.
Okay, so they did adjust that finally.
They did adjust
the next
tackles,
day they still
and
had.
then they gave me the win. So what's interesting is they adjusted the tackles on Tuesday, and then they adjusted the points on Wednesday.
That's weird.
Yeah. I
got the win.
I have a complaint in with Sleeper's complaint department right now, and so they're reviewing it.
You would.
So no matter what, one of you was going to complain to Sleeper about that thing.
100%. 100%. The complaint has been put in. I don't know. I don't know what you offered somebody over there for that win, Tony, but it only took 2 days to get through. But whatever.
All right.
Would you give up Myers or Judy for Daryl Williams? I'd have to be desperate, especially to give up Judy coming back finally now. When he comes back,
Myers either.
Yeah, but, Myers is tough for a rental and Daryl Williams.
But that's not the question. It's saying would you give up Myers or Judy? Who are the two guys would you give up for Daryl Williams?
Huh.
At least that's the way I read it.
I wouldn't give up Myers or Judy for Daryl Williams.
Okay.
You could either read it, would you give up one of them for Williams, or you could read it
out of these two guys, would you give up for Daryl Williams?
Pick one,
that's true. I could see.
Great. So you can see it both ways, honestly.
Okay. Well, let's play both games then. No, I wouldn't give up either of them for Daryl Williams, but if I had to give one up, which one would you give up? Kyle, we'll let you go first.
Honestly, I'd rather give up Judy. I think just because of Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant. I think Bridgewater's a lesser quarterback than Mac Jones. I like Myers in his role in that offense.
So. Tony's nodding, so
100% agree. You've got a healthy receiver who's producing weekly on a team that's kind of showcasing him in offense at least in the passing offense.
Yep.
And you have another receiver who's injured. I give up the injured guy. If you could trade an injured guy for a healthy guy, 100% do that. And if you need Daryl Williams to get you through the bye weeks, I would take him. Yeah. Yep. And what's Judy's role going to be in that offense? You've got Sutton, you've got Patrick.
I got high hopes for Judy.
Noah Fant.
Well, I had high hopes for Judy.
Noah Fant's been getting a lot of Judy's targets since he's been out. That could continue when Judy comes back.
Good. It's a 3-headed monster, 4-headed monster if you include Fant. So I'm not buying Judy right now.
I'm not as high on Judy now as I was at the beginning of the season. And not just because of the injury, the injury caused kind of that shift in who
it totally caused the shift in that.
In who's getting targets and the chemistry that Bridgewater's built there with those receivers. So
it changed everything. I traded for Judy. He got hurt half a quarter later, and that's just how that went. I traded for Carson. He got hurt. Everyone I've traded for has ended up getting hurt. So
don't trade for any of my players.
Who do you got?
Yeah, let me give you a list of people
on my roster.
We'll give you a list of people not to trade for real quick.
So it got so bad last year, Tony, that when we were in our DraftKings and stuff, I would go on my DraftKings and pick up everyone on my opponent's team that I was playing in our Roll Tide League, and I won the championship in our Roll Tide League. I was just picking up players in the DraftKings because I knew I wasn't going to win, and so I was just like, oh, I'm going to go pick them up really quick so that they'll do really crappy, and I could win in my Roll Tide League. So
his his DraftKings league was like a voodoo doll team. Everybody he put on there just went down. It was
so I'm gonna. If you guys ever see Bronx Tale, movie?
No, I've heard of it.
But I haven't. Movie.
No, so black and white back in your day.
Yeah, right. Exactly. There's a character in the movie who. Everything he does, he kind of ruins, like at the horse track, and they're all betting on this one horse, and the horse is winning, and this guy puts a bet, and of course, then the horse loses, that type of thing. His name is Mush because everything he touches turns to mush. So that'll have to be your new nickname, Mush.
I love it.
His new nickname is Mush.
I'll take it because it fits.
I'm already Bust from Boom Bust, so you can be Mush. Bust and Mush.
Be Mush.
That Bust and Mush. That's a hell
of a
So
it looks like we got to all the questions. Do we need to go into any more games? I know we're really supposed to be doing Panic Room, but
we kind of always get off course off of that, don't we?
Well, it's good to take the questions.
Yeah, and then just another plug. We got another show starting up tomorrow, which is Stud Stack Ups with shot callers. That'll be at, I'm trying to think what Eastern time that's going to be, 4:30 maybe. I don't know, but that'll be tomorrow afternoon. We'll have that tomorrow early evening, and then late tomorrow night will be Boom Bust Interactive with me and Kyle.
Is Cogman starting his tomorrow, or is he waiting another week?
No, it'll be in another week. We just didn't get around to it. It came really quickly. Too many shows starting up, man. We got a lot of shows starting up. We've got 2 more cooking. So, woo. Oh, here we go. What's the panic on Robbie Anderson drop? Yes.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson. Wow, not his year. Last year was his year for sure.
I'm
disappointing
though. I'm kind of just scrolling through like the weekly leaders here, like at receiver. Keenan Allen had another down week. What do y'all think about him as far as panic?
Buy low.
Yeah, because Mike Williams had a down week also. They just had a bad week all around.
Buy low.
Yeah, because Eckler had a down week. Everyone, it's all bad. Here's an interesting one from Jason and Tony. I'll let you take this one. Is Logan Thomas a drop?
No, I don't think Logan Thomas is a drop. First, if you got him on your team, you should be able to put him on IR. So just
unless you're in a trash league with no IR slot, then that's a trash league.
Stick him in your IR slot. Yeah, stick him in your IR slot. Hopefully, you have Seals Jones, and we're able to snag him off of waivers. So you can play him until Logan Thomas is back up off IR. But I don't think he's a drop. I think you're going to want to have him unless you have better options at tight end.
Yeah, the only defense there is putting Logan
Thomas Knox in your Goddard.
Oh, wow. Trade
one of them, yeah.
Trade Knox.
Trade Knox, you think?
Yeah. But honestly, putting Logan Thomas in your IR spot is harder than it sounds, just because if he's like any of my teams, you actually have 4 players eligible for that IR spot. And so, that's just the kind of season we're having right now. Too many players that are IR eligible. But if you have Knox and Goddard already, what do you think, Tony? Trade Knox?
I mean, if Knox is definitely a sell high candidate, although he didn't do too much tonight. I'm not selling Goddard.
Correct.
If you're ranking these tight ends, I think Goddard is your number 1 tight end, especially with Ertz gone.
Goddard is now about to be what the preseason ranks and Outlook had him before Ertz came back and ruined everything. So now that Ertz is finally gone, then yeah,
Took him
Goddard
long
is
enough,
going to be
didn't
good.
it?
So I think that, Goddard has one tough matchup remaining on the season. He has Denver in week 10. Other than that, he's got just a very favorable matchup. So I think Goddard is going to be my weekly starter. And so what I'm probably doing if I'm you is I'm looking to check my bye weeks for Goddard so they has week 10, Goddard has Denver, Washington has Tampa Bay, Buffalo has the Jets. So I don't know that Logan Thomas is going to be back by week 10. You're going to start Knox against the Jets. And then if you're looking ahead to his bye week, which is week 14, wow, that's crazy. It's week 14, huh?
Yeah, it's wild.
Buffalo has Tampa Bay. So you're probably going to want to play Knox against Tampa Bay. So yeah, I think, out of those three guys, I think Logan Thomas is the third tight end. And maybe you can move him when he comes off of IR. If you could put him on IR spot, if you can, he's the one out of the three that is droppable. Yes.
Woo! I never thought I would hear you say those words, Tony.
I was hiring him coming into the season, and I have him in a couple of leagues. But I also have Seals Jones.
Yep.
And I also have other options at tight end. In our dynasty league, I have Pitts, and in my auction league, again, I made that move where I grabbed Waller. Yep. So, Logan Thomas is now a nice backup for me.
Jan here asks, can someone explain how Keenan Allen is a buy low? Tony, take it away.
Yeah, Keenan Allen is a buy low because he's not been producing like he did in the beginning part of the season. So this past week, I think he was 5 for like 50 yards or something. What's the stat line?
That's right. 5 of 5 for 50.
Yeah. So, fantasy owners panic very quickly. They want I joke around. My younger son is now in fantasy. He's 16. I always tell him that he never sees a receiver that he didn't like. Every time a receiver goes off, that's the guy I got to get. And I'm saying, well, who are you going to drop? So it's fantasy owners from week to week can panic or kind of chase the next shiny thing that they see because they had a good week. And
hence
so
the name of the
Allen
show
is right now is a potential buy low candidate. Mike Williams has been getting the attention and could be an opportunity to buy Allen while his value is down a little bit.
Yep.
Not saying that his value should be low. I think we're all still very high on Keenan Allen for the season, but because he's come off a low, a week where he didn't produce very much, you could find someone who's willing to move him.
I mean, if I pulled his stats up here, so through 6 weeks, week 1, he's 9 catches on 13 targets, 100 yards. Okay, week 2, 4 of 8 for 108. Then he's 8 of 12 for 50 and a touchdown. He's only got 1 touchdown on the season so far. That's not normal for him. He usually has more touchdowns, so a little abnormal there. And then 7 of 11 for 36, 6 of 9 for 75, 5 of 5 for 50. So the targets are there. The catches are there. He's just not getting long gains right now these last 3 weeks. Like you say, the one touchdown should regress up and be better, I would think, over the course. And then you go down, like Tony was talking about earlier, you're looking at weeks 14 through 17. He's got the Giants, the Chiefs, the Texans, and then week 17 he's got Denver, which is a little bit better of a defense, but I mean, lots of reasons there. I want him on my roster.
He's a big part of that offense. He's a volume target monster, and he's got probably one of the best young quarterbacks in the league in Herbert. So why would you not want him on your team?
Exactly.
And it's because the volume is there. It's just a matter of time before the numbers, until he starts really producing and the numbers support where his value should be.
Jan says
that helps.
If I were to buy Keenan low, what kind of value should I give for him? AB?
No, I wouldn't give that much for him. AB's crushing it.
I would look at the owner and what's his record. Because if he has a losing record, most people at this point of the season, if they have a losing record, they're beginning to panic. And so you might be able to get him in panic mode. And you can flip him a player. I don't know what the rest of your roster looks like and what his roster looks like in terms of what he needs. But I don't know that I would necessarily move an Antonio Brown for him. I think probably their value is very comparable. Antonio Brown and Keenan Allen. So I would find a different way to grab Keenan, and I don't know what the other receivers look like. So I would not trade Antonio Brown for him. I don't know that that's the move. That's more of a lateral trade.
Yeah. Yep. So cool.
Hopefully that helps. Yeah.
All right, we just hit the 2-hour mark. Well, 1:55. Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at the clock and not our actual live time over there. My bad. Almost 2 hours, fellas. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I was scrolling through our weekly leaders. Nothing else really jumped out at me as far as being abnormal, as far as people having like another bad week. It seemed like a get right week for a lot of people this week.
It kind of did.
There are a couple of guys whose value is still suppressed. So that's a plug for our Wednesday night Wall Street, where we'll go through our buys, our holds, and the guys that we would sell. So I don't want to necessarily get into them right this second.
And that's a fun one too. So we'll save that for Wednesday.
For sure. Yep. Lots of content on the Fantasy Football Network, guys. You can catch it all the time we're on here quite a bit too. So,
and if you have more trade questions or start sits or anything like
waiver
questions, come see us tomorrow, man. We'll be back on here tomorrow night, a little bit earlier, 9:00 Central.
Yep.
So,
yeah, we stream Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. We have a show on Thursdays. Gosh, You guys get a lot of us, and that's just us.
Snoozers or losers will be back this week.
And that's just us.
Thursday at lunchtime.
There's a bunch of fellas on this league. So anyways, let's wrap that up for tonight, guys. I'm done panicking for now. I feel like my blood pressure's come down after the week because of these conversations. So that helps quite a bit.
I can relax and go to bed now. I'm not freaking out anymore.
I've talked to my fantasy football therapist, Tony, over here. So
no, I'm not Tony. I'm Skinny James Harrison.
Skinny James Harrison. That's right.
Jason Statham.
Yeah, Skinny James Garrison.
Garrison, yeah.
Mr. Garrison. Mr. Garrison. All right.
As long as we all know I'm the brains of the operation, I'm good.
I don't think that's in question.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever claimed anything else, did we?
Not publicly.
That's fair.
I enjoy this. I really look forward to this every week. One of the highlights of my week, Monday nights, getting on here with you guys. So thank you.
Absolutely. No problem. All right. We'll talk to you later, guys. Thanks for joining us.
You too. Thanks, guys. Take care, everyone.